Okay, getting back to answering this question. So the president's opening was far too long, um, and I believe personally that not only is saying that one doctor's test should be emailed to all the other referring doctors. That's not only is that wrong, but conditions change for people, circumstances change, and even if the patient is getting a second opinion, that other doctor has to see things for him or herself. Moreover, their decision cannot be influenced by another doctor's interpretation of a test. This comment completely negates the reason for needing a second opinion, the reason for needing a referral, and it's impossible because a family care physician that is referring a patient to a cardiologist cannot just email that cardiologist the EKG reports or the echocardiogram reports. Number one, because that a family care physician or an internist or a primary care physician is not a cardiologist, is not an endocrinologist, hasn't passed the boards for those specialties. So that's just not feasible. And he calls it waste. And I understand, maybe a patient would have to have 2 or 3 echoes or 2 or 3 EKGs or whatever, ultrasounds or stress tests or what have you. But the whole point is that a family care physician, in their experience, can't give a cardiologist's response to similar tests. They can't even legally do that because they haven't passed the boards for that discipline. So, So this comment completely negates the whole reason for needing a second opinion. Also, in his answer, he's assuming that all the tests are the same. Different doctors do different tests, which is also the point of getting multiple opinions. So either President Obama himself doesn't understand the need to see multiple doctors, doesn't understand the process, or he's trying to streamline healthcare, which everyone, including myself, is opposed to. If that's actually what he wants, one doctor giving a test and then giving those interpretations, because what happens is, you get the reports that get transferred for the most part are just that reports. You have a test, the doctor types out a report, and that's what's in most of our records. That's what gets passed along. I think that's what I hear from President Obama. Even if you give the EKG, the echocardiogram, the blood work, things just change. So that's just either he doesn't understand what's going on in healthcare and what's important, why people need referrals and why people need second opinions, or if he is trying to streamline healthcare, which is absolutely wrong. Now maybe it's just a poor example, and I understand, and while I do understand the need to make more incentives for smarter care, to make there less waste, that example just wasn't it. If that was a true and a Freudian slip about what's really to come, then you can mark me on opposed for the healthcare reform bill. Now, healthcare inflation does need. Another marks he started talking about was how healthcare inflation needs to be kept in line with other inflation, and that is a challenge. He mentioned, and there's a challenge, and that is a challenge because of pharmaceutical companies and equipment costs. Healthcare inflation could be double, triple the market inflation for everything else, for housing, for clothes, whatever. Just normal cost of living increases. But what's happening with pharmaceutical and equipment companies, they spend all this money making new medicines and new equipment, pushing doctors to provide them and to prescribe them and to use them. They cost more, and then it drives up the cost for consumers. And what that would mean is that the healthcare inflation would slow down or decrease. That would make things much more affordable. And for pharmaceutical companies, stop pushing. There's now a disease for everything. Stop pushing. God, just so many different medicines. And I understand that that's what you get paid to do, and that's just how you find cures for diseases, and I understand that argument. But come on, the same people that make Prilosec, which is now in generic, make Nexium. It's just different by one methyl group, and then and they're not, and they're fighting against letting Nexium go as generic. Prevacid, now instead of going on generic, is now making Prevacid delayed release. If you can delay the release and make medicines long acting to begin with, why don't you just do that? But they don't. They make the medicine, they try to milk as much of it as they can, and right before the medicine goes on generic, they start saying, oh, we have control release. All those ERs, LAs on the end that are suffixes for medicines, all that is an attempt for the pharmaceutical companies to keep making money off the same thing. So come on. I mean, that's not going to change. So, this is a wasted argument, but come on. If you can make it long acting, then just make it long acting. Do the people a favor. The second question I posed is just about exactly what I would have asked if I was there, and it was referring to the reimbursements to providers of a public plan.